So, you want to become smart, right? The traditional path to intelligence often looks something like this. 6 years of school, 4 years of college, and another 6 years of graduate school. But here's the kicker. After all that time, money, and effort, you might end up with a degree, a mountain of debt, and ironically, no job. It's not even a joke. On the bright side, when you make a Reddit post about how you can't get hired, at least you can do it in perfect English. Before you misinterpret my point, I strongly advocate for formal education. But here's the truth. Becoming smart doesn't have to take decades of formal education or cost you a fortune. In fact, it's much easier than you think. Even if you believe your genetics make you dumb, compared to every other animal on the planet, you're already pretty overpowered. Humans have the unique ability to learn, adapt, and solve complex problems. When people say they want to get smarter, they usually mean a few things. They want to learn useful skills, preferably ones that make money, get better at solving problems, also preferably for money, improve their grades or master difficult subjects again, for money and maybe to flex on people, and sound smart in conversations just enough to earn respect, but not so much that they come off as a know-it-all. The problem is, most advice on the internet about becoming smarter is either too vague or too philosophical. It's the kind of advice that only works if you're Oprah or Socrates. And if you look for specific, actionable tips, you'll likely find the same recycled list of brain hacks. Eat blueberries, drink black coffee, exercise, sleep more, take IQ tests, and listen to classical music. Sure, these things might help a little, but at some point, you actually have to learn something. Besides, history is full of geniuses who barely slept, didn't exercise, and still managed to change the world. So, what can you actually do to get smarter that doesn't involve the same 6 tips copied from a WikiHow article? Let's break it down. The power of reading. The first and most important step to becoming smarter is reading. But not just any kind of reading, strategic reading. What you read matters just as much as how much you read. Let's start with fiction. Reading fiction is great for improving your reading speed and expanding your vocabulary. It also helps you develop empathy and emotional intelligence by exposing you to different perspectives and experiences. Plus, if you read a lot of dialogue, it can almost feel like you have friends kidding, but not really. However, most people who want to get smarter gravitate toward nonfiction, and for good reason. Nonfiction is the key to acquiring knowledge that you can use in real life. It's how you learn about history, science, philosophy, and countless other subjects that can make you sound interesting in conversations. For example, imagine you're at a party and someone says, "Crazy how we evolved from chimpanzees, right?" Instead of responding with a dry, "Yeah," you could casually drop some knowledge. It is crazy, right? I was reading the other day, and apparently humans and chimpanzees share a common ancestor, but we didn't exactly evolve from them. We kind of evolved side by side. The key here is to share what you know without sounding obnoxious. No one likes a actually person. Instead, frame your knowledge in a way that's humble and relatable. Teach people something new without making them feel dumb. This way, you come off as smart and likable, not pretentious. Now, how do you find these books? It's easier than you think. You don't have to read the same 5 books everyone recommends. Just think of a topic you're interested in, like cleaning, personal finance, or even car maintenance, and search for books on that topic. There are countless resources out there, and many of them are free if you know where to look. Once you have the book, don't just read it, apply what you learn. If you're reading about cleaning, clean your room. If you're reading about car maintenance, try fixing something on your car. The more you practice, the more your brain will retain the information. Learning skills effectively. Reading is just the first step. To truly become smarter, you need to learn skills and learn them effectively. Here's the thing about learning. Unless you practice a skill, your brain will think it's useless and forget it. This is why so many people struggle to retain information. They read a book or watch a video, but they never actually apply what they've learned. This brings us to the 80-20 rule of learning, also known as the Pareto principle. The idea is that you only need to know 20% of the knowledge to master 80% of the skill. For example, if you're learning how to tie a tie, you don't need to know every single knot in existence. You just need to learn one or two that work for most situations. The same applies to almost any skill. Focus on the essentials, and you'll make rapid progress. But here's the catch. You have to practice. No one ever learned how to tie a tie by just watching a video. You have to actually do it. The same goes for reading. Books only make you smarter if you give your brain a reason to remember the information. So, after reading a chapter on cleaning, go clean something. After reading about car maintenance, try fixing something. If you can't practice right away, visualize yourself using the skill. Imagine the moment when you'll need to jumpstart a car and mentally walk through the steps. This kind of mental rehearsal can be just as effective as physical practice. This is how the school system works, by the way. You learn a piece of information, and then you're tested on it. The test creates an imaginary situation where the information is useful, which convinces your brain to remember it, at least temporarily. The problem is, once the test is over, your brain decides the information isn't useful anymore, and you forget it. To avoid this, you need to create real-world situations where the information is valuable. That's how you make it stick. The role of practice questions. One of the most effective ways to learn and retain information is by using practice questions. Whether you're studying for an exam or trying to master a new skill, practice questions simulate the actual situation where you'll need to use what you've learned. This is why textbooks are such a powerful tool for becoming smart. They're packed with information and practice questions that force you to apply what you've learned. If you don't have practice questions, you can create your own. For example, if you're learning about human anatomy, quiz yourself on the parts of a cell. If you're studying history, test your knowledge of key events and figures. The key is to make the stakes feel high. Pretend that your life depends on getting the answers right. This might sound silly, but it works. Your brain is more likely to remember information if it thinks it's important. This is also why repetition and spaced repetition are so effective. By revisiting the same information over time, you reinforce it in your memory. But the most important thing is to practice. Reading and memorizing are great, but they're not enough. You have to actually use what you've learned. That's how you get smarter. The textbook advantage. Let's talk about textbooks for a moment. Textbooks are the S-tier format for becoming smart as fast as possible. Why? Because they're designed to teach you everything you need to know about a subject in the most efficient way possible. There's no fluff, no hand-holding, no distractions, just pure information and a ton of practice questions. Textbooks aren't for the casual learner. They're not as fun as watching a YouTube video or scrolling through social media. But if you're serious about learning, there's no better resource. And the best part? You don't have to spend a fortune on them. There are plenty of websites where you can find free textbooks on almost any subject. So if you're ready to take your intelligence to the next level, start reading. Read fiction to improve your vocabulary and empathy. Read nonfiction to learn useful skills and knowledge. Practice what you learn, and use practice questions to reinforce your memory. And if you're up for the challenge, dive into a textbook. It might not be easy, but it's one of the fastest ways to get smart. The importance of curiosity and asking questions. One of the most underrated traits of truly intelligent people is curiosity. Curiosity is the driving force behind learning and discovery. It's what pushes you to ask questions, seek answers, and explore new ideas. If you want to become smarter, You need to cultivate a mindset of curiosity. Start by asking questions, lots of them. When you encounter something you don't understand, don't just gloss over it. Dig deeper. Why does it work that way? How does it connect to other things you know? What can you learn from it? For example, if you're reading about how cars work, don't just memorize the parts of an engine. Ask yourself how each part contributes to the overall function. What happens if one part fails? How does the engine interact with other systems in the car? Curiosity also means being open to new experiences and perspectives. Don't limit yourself to what you already know or what's comfortable. Explore topics outside your usual interests. If you're a science person, try reading about art or philosophy. If you're into history, dive into a book about technology. The more you expose yourself to different ideas, the more connections your brain will make, and the smarter you'll become. Another way to foster curiosity is to surround yourself with people who challenge you. Engage in conversations with people who have different viewpoints or expertise. Ask them questions and listen to their answers. You'll not only learn new things, but also develop critical thinking skills by evaluating different perspectives. Remember, curiosity is a habit. The more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. And the stronger your curiosity, the more you'll learn and grow. The role of failure in learning and growth. Here's a hard truth. If you want to become smarter, you have to be willing to fail. Failure is an essential part of the learning process. It's how you figure out what works, what doesn't, and how to improve. But for many people, the fear of failure holds them back. They avoid taking risks or trying new things because they're afraid of looking stupid or making mistakes. The problem is, if you never fail, you never grow. Think about it. Every major discovery, invention, or breakthrough in history came after countless failures. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first try. He failed thousands of times before he succeeded. The same principle applies to learning. If you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So, how do you embrace failure? Start by reframing how you think about it. Instead of seeing failure as a sign of weakness or incompetence, see it as feedback. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve. For example, if you're trying to learn a new language and you mess up a sentence, don't beat yourself up. Analyze what went wrong, correct it, and try again. Another way to overcome the fear of failure is to set small, achievable goals. Instead of aiming to master a skill overnight, break it down into smaller steps. Celebrate your progress along the way, even if it's not perfect. This will help you build confidence and resilience. Finally, remember that failure is not the end. It's just part of the journey. The more you fail, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the smarter you become. So, don't be afraid to take risks, make mistakes, and fail forward. It's all part of the process. Closing. Becoming smart doesn't have to take years of formal education or cost you a fortune. It's about reading strategically, learning skills effectively, and practicing what you've learned. Whether you're reading fiction, nonfiction, or textbooks, the key is to apply what you learn and make it stick. If you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. And if you're ready to take control of your learning and become the smartest version of yourself, hit that subscribe button. Together, we can unlock your full potential. Thanks for watching, and remember, intelligence isn't about how much you know, it's about how you use it. See you next time.